Hi, this is Fabio for Off Center DJ School, and this is the first of a series of videos about playing live with Ableton Live. This is one of my favorite topics about Ableton Live because differently from most people who are coming to Ableton right now, I actually picked up Ableton Live to play on stage. Live was quite revolutionary when it came out because of the session view, which was pretty much just meant for you to play a computer on stage properly, because there was nothing out there at the time when it came out. And it's still one of the best choices to do that these days. So we're gonna start with the basics. I'm gonna show you how to map your computer keyboard or your MIDI keyboards or different controllers to different functions on Ableton Live so that you can make an interesting performance. And you're not just, pressing play and looking at people and doing the Jesus Christ pose, because, nobody wants that seriously. If you're using Ableton, you certainly play with mapping already, but I'm gonna do a quick review here. To map any key on your computer keyboard to functions on Ableton Live, you press the key box right here, or you can use Command K or Control K depending on your system, and everything that can be mapped is now highlighted, okay? So I'm gonna select this slot right here where I have a clip called walking, and I'm gonna map the W key to it. When I press W, it's gonna start playing. The cool thing is that you can map uppercase and lowercase letters all the same. So I want uppercase W to stop the clip. So I'm gonna select the stop button right here, and I'm gonna do Shift W. And now I have a clip start and a clip stop controls mapped to keys. So I press here again. Whenever I press lowercase W, it starts playing. And if I press uppercase W, stops playing. You can also map faders and knobs to keys on your keyboard, and that might seem a little weird, but it works, okay? So I'm gonna start again, press key, and I'm gonna select the volume fader right here, okay? I'm gonna press, I don't know, let's say H, okay? And then if we go over here to the mapping panel, you're gonna see that I have two different values, a minimum and a maximum, okay? So I can set this to, I don't know, -6 dB and this one to 0. And what's gonna happen is I'm gonna exit mapping right now. And whenever I press the H key, you're gonna see that the fader is gonna change between both positions. This is really good if you want to, for instance, instead of mapping a volume, if I want to map this send right here, the first one, which is delay, I'm gonna delete the H mapping that I have before, and I'm gonna map delay instead. And I'm gonna change between -infinity, which is nothing, to, I don't know, -6 actually makes sense here. And then I exit mapping. Now let's play the clip. And I'm gonna press H. Whenever I press it, I send to the delay and I stop sending to the delay. So that's pretty handy, especially if you don't have a MIDI keyboard or a MIDI fader connected to your computer. You can still do cool things with it. Now let's talk about MIDI mapping. I have two controllers set up here to work with live. One is an Arturia Beat Step, has a bunch of knobs and a few pads. And another one is the KMI Q-Nexus, which is pretty much a keyboard. It does a few other tricks, but for now, we're gonna only use it as a keyboard, okay? Aside everything that we can do with keyboard mapping, well, I mean like computer keyboard mapping, you can do a few other things when doing MIDI mapping, okay? One of them is, well, first of all, you press the MIDI box or Command M or Control M, and then you go into MIDI mapping. And the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna map this fader to this knob right here, okay? I'm just gonna twist it, and then it learned what I'm talking about. I can map more than one control at the same time, as we know. So I'm gonna map this and this other fader. I just twist it again, and then I have two faders. And all the same, I have a minimum and a maximum volume. So I'm just gonna set this one as the maximum as 0 dB, but I'm gonna do something funny here. I'm gonna invert the second control. So the minimum is going to be 0 and the maximum is going to be -infinity, which means that when I twist the knob, one of the faders is going to go up, the other one is going to go down. Like this. Just look at my screen. you can see that this is a very precise controller, so the faders move slowly, but one is the opposite of the other, which is pretty wicked and pretty useful. Okay, now the other thing I want to show is, well, let's reset this one because I'm gonna need this, is that whenever you're mapping a keyboard key, okay, so now we're gonna talk about the Q and X's right here. I can select a slot and I can just, press a key like this. I just press the C, and this will just play the clip. But we can do something that's even more interesting than that. So I'm gonna delete this mapping. Here's what I can do. I can map a range of keys, and whenever I press these keys, it's gonna transpose the clip. So how to do that? You press the key that you want to be the center key, then you press a lower key, and then upper key, and there you go. Now we have a range. Okay, so I'm gonna exit mapping right now, and I'm gonna play this clip again. First starting with the original pitch, and then look what happens. So right away, that already creates some performance possibilities for you, which is really, really, really cool. Okay, you don't need to use a drum rack to do this. You can just transpose the clip automatically. It's gonna follow the global quantization. It's gonna follow everything, and you just play in a clip. So far, so good. But let's say that I want to add a few effects to this channel right here, where I have a few full tracks on the different slots. Okay, so let's say that I'm planning to do something kind of like a DJ performance, possibly. As a DJ, I would like to have a few things for me. Maybe an EQ3 that has the classic low, mid, high effects. Let's say that I also want, I don't know, probably a filter. So I'm gonna add an auto filter right here. And right away, if you look here, you're gonna see that I have a bunch of different knobs, and I only have two hands. So how can I deal with that? Well, lucky for us, Ableton has something called the effect rack. So I just select both effects. I just press Shift and I clicked both of them, and I press Command or Control G. That's gonna group the effects together. But if you look here at this little button, when you click it, you're gonna see that you have macro controls. And what are they? They are pretty much the same as mapping MIDI or keyboard keys and knobs to the different controls in Ableton. But in this case, I'm only mapping these macro controls to different controls inside the group. Okay, so the rack actually comprises these two effects, and when I press this map button right here, I go into a situation that's very, very similar to the keyboard or MIDI mapping. Everything that I can map is now green, and I can simply press or choose any of the controls right here. So let's say that I want to have to control the resonance and the frequency of my filter at the same time. So I can press the map button on the first macro, and now I mapped resonance, and I can also map the cutoff of the filter right here. Now both are mapped to the same button, and I can see what happens when I twist it. This is not quite what I want, but this is very, very easy to fix, because if you look over here at the top, I have the same mapping panel. Those are the macro mappings, and I can change the value. So let's twist it all the way to the right, and then we can change the different values here the way we want. So I actually want the full frequency to be at around like 20 kilohertz, which is like fully open filter. And then I can change the resonance. I don't want it to be that violent when it's at the maximum value, or else I'm gonna have like a really screechy sound, and I don't want that. Now let's twist it all the way to the bottom, and let's change that too. Okay, I don't want the resonance to be at the minimum here, so I'm just gonna twist it until it looks just right, and I can move the knob as I go. Okay, so let's say that, you know, when I want it to be a little bit less violent here, kind of like this. And now the resonance is scaled with the filter, okay? Or maybe I want to do the opposite, okay? I want the resonance to be higher when my filter is at its lowest, and then I can change accordingly. And when I move the knob, you see that, oh, this is a little bit too much. It actually, the resonance goes up as we move the knob to the left, and the frequency, we leave it all alone, okay? And then we can change the name. You just click, okay, first we need to exit mapping, then you click the macro button, then you do Command R or Control R, and you can rename it to filter, and this is gonna control resonance and frequency at the same time. So let's take a look at how this sounds, okay? So I'm just gonna play one of the tracks right here. Whoops, a little bit too slow. Now let's play with the filter. And that's sounding pretty sweet if you ask me. Now, the cool thing about macro mapping is that it actually does a little bit more than just like the regular MIDI mapping that you can do with Ableton. You have the option, if you look at this button right here, of having different effect chains that you can crossfade between using this control right here, okay? So if instead of simply, moving different knobs with a single knob, I actually can do something that's a little bit more like this. I can map this knob right here, okay, let's say, to this green strip right here. And as you can see, you have from 0 to 127, and those are the maximum and minimum numbers of a normal MIDI control, a knob or a fader, okay? So I can map the second map macro to this, and it's gonna show a chain selector. And you're gonna see that, right here on the left, I have this bar that I can drag, okay? So what this does is, depending on where this bar is, I can select between different effect chains. If I want to have a different effect here, okay, I'm just gonna leave mapping, and I'm gonna add a different effect. And now I have two different chains, okay? And whenever I twist the knob, it's gonna switch between the first and the second effect, right? Because whenever I move this, you can see that there's a little pointer over there that is going to go over the two things. And they can overlap, okay? So I can actually just drag this over here and drag this over here. And if you look closely, you're going to see that there's a little white bar at the top. If I drag just a bar, you're going to see that this is actually a crossfade control, okay? So now, whenever I move the chain selector, I'm going to switch between the two chains that I have. The first one is being controlled by this button right here, so I'm just going to set the filter around here. And the other one is using this other little effect here that is actually an effect group. So it's pretty much Inception. I have an effect rack inside another effect rack, and this is really a really cool effect, which is pretty much one of those filters that when you twist to the left, it closes the filter. It does a low pass filter. When I twist to the right, it's gonna do a high pass filter. So because this one is set to low pass, this one I'm gonna set it to high pass, and it's gonna be a little bit messy, but let's see how it sounds. I'm gonna start with the chain selector to the left right here, and let's play the song again. and you can do some very complicated mappings with this. So to finish the video, I created this small kind of like DJ setup right here, where I have 2 decks and I have 2 channels as crates. What I did was, on the first channel, I assigned the crossfader to A, on the second channel, the crossfader to B, and I mapped on the beat step, the 3 first pads, to actually switch from left, center, and right. So I can actually just crossfade really quickly between the 2 channels, okay? Each one of the channels also has like a DJ FX right here, which is a rack that contains other racks. I have the filter sweep, the 1 knob filter sweep, like up and down, and then I have a few other effects that I pulled off a post on the Ableton website about the 8 knobs rack. Okay, and each of those, they are very good, very typical DJ effects. So that's pretty much it. That's all I had, and I'm gonna play a little bit with this. Okay, so let's start with this track and go on with it. That's it for today. Thank you very much, and stay tuned for more videos about Ableton Live, audio production, DJing, and all those sorts of things from Off Center DJ School.